Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Iffah Natasha Binti Jefri. And today I would like to present my proposal defense on the topic early promotion utility sector and job performance among employees in telecom research and development general CMRNG. So first of all, this is the content of the presentation for today. And I will start with the background of the study. Is definition of knowledge management. Is knowledge management or KM is imperative for companies interested in facing the changing needs of customers, the pressure from competitors and constant technology changes. It is also important to boost innovation that is the most sources of competitive advantage, but that depends on an intangible resource such as knowledge. So as a critical resource, knowledge remains a good management. So organization, so the organization follow the easy path to duplicate the effective interaction without taking into account the statistics of other content. So knowledge management maturity factor is important as guiding roadmap in implementation of management in organization and affect the job performance as well. So this is the problem statement and the research question. Um, Many research has been done regarding knowledge management maturity factor in particular industry in other countries. But however, there is no study found on knowledge management maturity factor in telecommunication industry on job performance. So the purpose of this study is to evaluate the knowledge management maturity factor or KM maturity factor on job performance in telecom um, research and development or CMRND, which is one of the organizations uh, in telecommunication industry. So the first problem statement, this is problem statement is linked with the research question. And the first one is they have not considered the features, characteristics and situation of smaller firms. Nor have they explored other factors which could potentially be important for SMEs when accomplishing KM. The first research question that linked with the problem statement is what is the most influential KM activity factor in organization as perceived by the employees. The second one is the main problem that most organizations face is whether the organization staff or employees are motivated to perform at their job or whether employees find their work interesting and meaningful. And the research question that deals with the problem statement is how employees rate their job performance. And the last one is the organization needs to be cognizant and aware of the factors that influence job performance. So according to me, in 2005, ignorance and oversight of the enablers and inhibitors will likely hinder an organization's effort to realize its full benefits. So the research question is does the PM maturity factor give an impact on job performance? The next one is the research question and research objective. So I will mention in research objective. The first research objective is to identify the most influential KM maturity factor in organization as perceived by employees. The second one is to evaluate how employees rate their job performance, and the third one is to indicate that KM maturity factor gives an impact on job performance. Next is literature review. This is chapter 2 in research proposal report. So In this chapter, it will include the overview of knowledge management maturity. Uh, under the phrase under that overview, they have the knowledge management in organization, meaning the nature of the KM in that organization. And it also include the knowledge management maturity model. And the second one is the knowledge management maturity factor in organization. There are five of knowledge management maturity factors that I will explain and look at this later. And the third one is participating organization. Um, this part is which organization that will involve in the study. So like like I mentioned before, Telecom Research Development Pilihan Berhad or TMRND is one of the organisation that will involve in this study. The third one is the job performance in organisation, previous studies on knowledge maturity, and the last one is conceptual framework that I will explain in the next slide. So this is the conceptual framework, independent variable and dependent variable. So this framework was developed to study the relationship between the variables. So KM maturity factor has been presented by Chong and Choi in 2005 from the most comprehensive success knowledge management maturity factor. So with the strength of the KM maturity factor, this study will be systematically tested on KM maturity factor on job performance in the organization. So the dependent variable will be the job performance. So this is the hypothesis. The hypothesis is a directional hypothesis, which is all the information independent variable will affect job performance positively and significantly. There are five independent variables that involve um, benchmarking and training, information system infrastructure, cooperation, leadership styles, and culture. This is the operational definition. It is involved all the variables, include both the variables, bench independent variable and also dependent variable. Next one is the mapping of research objectives and research methods. So for the first research objective, it is the research descriptive research objective that will involve only one variable, which is independent variable, KM maturity factor. The second one is also descriptive research objective that also include one variable which is dependent variable is job performance, and the third one is to indicate does knowledge management maturity factor give an impact on job performance. It is inferential research objective that will involve both um, variables, independent variables and dependent variables. So this is the ethical requirement. So for the ethical requirement, um, there are three ethical codes that will involve in this study. The first one is the honesty and integrity. So for honesty and integrity, researcher need to report the research honestly and this and that this apply the research method, data, result, and whether researcher has previously published it or not. Uh, the second one is objectivity. The objectivity is the action taken will be um, Researchers should aim to avoid any bias in any aspect of the research, including design, data analysis, interpreting, and peer review. And the last one is the most important um, ethical code, which is human subject protection. So if the research involves people, researchers should make sure to reduce any possible harm to minimize and maximize to both participating and other people. So this is the research design. The component of the research design, purpose of the research, type of investigation, component of research design, and the choice of the study. So for the purpose of the research, the choice of the study is exploratory and descriptive. So why exploratory? Because there are not much has been recorded about KM maturity. So we want to explore further. And the second one is descriptive, because the research researcher wants to describe more and want to know more the level of maturity in knowledge management among the employees. The second component is type of investigation, which is the correlational study. So it is the investigating between the variables. The third one is unit of analysis. It is involve it is individual and it is involve the employee in PMRND itself. And for time horizon, it is cross-sectional study. It is a population that the population data will be collected on specific time. So the study setting is non-country. Instrument for data collection is the questionnaire. So the last but not least is significance of the research. So in the line of the organization aspect, knowledge management is important in very organization. Knowledge management is important in every organization. So this study will to evaluate the knowledge management maturity will increase the organizational performance. So indirectly the employees will aware with their level of knowledge management, their level of maturity in KM on the job performance. So this research also can be guidelines to other organizations that that has implemented the knowledge management to ensure ensure their process and KM activities run smoothly with the knowledge management maturity factor given in this study. So I think that's all for me, and this is the reference selected from the study. I think that's all for me. Thank you for your time to listen to my presentation. So, Assalamualaikum.